Pam Coulter, CBS News.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary-related entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today we're going to start off the show with Paul Tonneson, who's the Executive Director of Friends of the Children's Justice Center. Hi, Paul.
How are you, Susie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Can you believe it's September?
I know.
What happened? What happened? It's like, and looking at the schedule for the people who are going to be on this show, it's like we're pushing close into the last 2 months here with people signing up. And there everybody's going, no, I want in, September. I want in October.
And I had to book 3 months out to get on today.
You did. That's what's going on. So does that mean we're getting more popular than ever?
Yep. There's a waiting list.
There's a waiting list. Yep. And it's you, the listeners out there, that are making us so popular. You talk about what you hear and you tell people about it. And that's a great thing, because that's why we're here, to talk about what we do. So let's just jump right into it. Friends of the Children's Justice Center, what does it do?
We supply support for children of abuse and neglect on Maui County, so we cover all 3 islands. We also do prevention efforts to bring awareness to the community about how we can be more proactive than reactive to child abuse and neglect. And we support the Children's Justice Center.
And the Children's Justice Center is what?
That's the facility. If you ever watch Law and Order, when a child's been sexually assaulted, they bring them into like a little playroom and they're recording it from another room with the 2-way mirrors. So we have 2 interview rooms there. So when a child has been assaulted, they are brought to the Children's Justice Center, and that's where the interviews take place before they start with any court proceedings or anything like that.
Okay, and when you say that you work with them...
We actually were founded by the Rotarians to fill in the gaps. So we serve 28 social service agencies, and we support the Children's Justice Center, which is part of the courts. And what the Rotarians came back in 1989, they found a lot of gaps that these children weren't getting. They were just, getting as much as the providers could provide. So they came in and they started filling in all the gaps. And we have no state, federal, or county funds.
Right.
So it's 100% private donors.
We're talking foundations and private individuals.
Correct.
And so forth.
Yes.
Now, when you say filling in the gaps, we're talking about everything from clothing to...
Clothing, mental health issues, medical. Quest will sometimes consider an overbite where a girl can barely speak as cosmetic. Then they come to us and say the girl can't even really communicate. She's getting bullied. She's a victim of sexual assault. Is there anything you can do to offset what Quest won't cover? And we've done things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's your reach is getting further out there.
Yes.
Because the needs are greater.
Correct. And where we're not confined by funding, we never have to say no, which is great. Last year we took in almost an extra $50,000 above our projected goal. There is a rule of law for the Friends. Any funds that come in that weren't anticipated need to go directly back to the children. We do not bank them. Okay. We keep a reserve that we've had for years, but so we go out and we have a greater impact in the community.
And you're able to do more for more.
More for more, right.
I like that. That's great. So now you've got something coming up later this month that also is part of your economic picture.
It's our annual fundraiser. We held it once a year up at the King Kamehameha Golf Club. This year, September 29th. An amazing event, always a sold-out event. As of now, we're down to about, I think, 22 tickets left.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we're doing really well.
Wait. This is Maui. You don't sell them
I
until 2
know.
days before.
You know, it's so funny. We have a waiting list of people that forgot or we couldn't get a hold of. So I go through every year and I go through the list from the year before and reach out to people. And it's funny because one of our big donors was on the mainland, and they called in this morning and said, "Can we just give you a credit card?" You know, again, because they, you know, a lot of people that are older and more affluent that support us travel a lot. So
Right.
a lot of times they might get something in the mail 6 weeks out, but they've been gone for 1 or 2 months or whatever it may be. So, yeah, we got Chris Christopherson this year. He's going to be
Great.
performing for us. Again, the generosity of the community is really what keeps us going. I am the only employee. We have a working board of directors. So when you join our board, they let you know you got a job. And if you decide you don't want to work, I don't have to say a word. My board members come in and tell you, it was nice having you as a board member, but
You don't quite fit.
yeah, and that's how they were founded.
Yeah.
They were founded by judges and people in dealing with child abuse and neglect way back when, and a lot of them belong to Rotary, and they're just very passionate about it. I was on the board for 12 years, so every executive director, we've only had 3 in the last 27 years have come off the board.
Really?
So we've never, so the passion never leaves.
Gotcha.
Randy, who you know very well, was on the board, and him and I joined together back in 1999. And then he took over, and then when he retired, I took over. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, you know, there's something to be said for that, because especially in your situation where there's one paid staff person, and you've got that active board, it maybe almost feels like a less work to be the executive director, if you can say that, because the board does so much.
Yeah. Well, it takes a lot off. I mean, like I have board member coming in. My board president, Sheila Haynes, will be in today. She'll be doing all the timeline for the event and things like that. It just takes a lot off because my job, I need to fill the needs requests for the children. And a lot of time they're emergency. 5 children taken out of a drug house that had meth in it. So they can't take the clothes, they can't take the toothbrushes, they can't take anything. So we have to automatically make sure they can get down what used to be Kmart. Now we're dealing with Target, and go down and ensure that they can get clean clothes, that they're going to have hygiene products and all that while they're put in temporary care or foster care.
Wow.
Yeah.
And which requires immediate action. I mean,
Correct.
it's not something you can do tomorrow.
No.
So that's good.
Yeah.
That's so then it's these other duties as nonprofits look at them, fundraising events and actually they help big time at Christmas time too, don't they? The board.
Yes, Christmas time we collected about 2,700 gifts last year. Everything, you know, people don't realize it. And Maui Nonprofit Directors, the reason we're here is the show exists is because we know the importance of collaboration. Through efforts with collaborating with Maui United Way over the last 2 years, in Maui County, between the two of us, we didn't have to say no to any child in need. We got an abundance of gifts, and again, joint forces make it bigger and better. The Friends have one of the oldest toy drives on island. It's been going since we've started 27 years, and it's amazing.
Wow. We Carrie from the Maui United Way was here a couple weeks ago, or was it just last week? I don't know. It was just recently. Might have been last week. And we talked about the toy drive coming up in November.
Yeah.
And what a fabulous drive that is, and how, like you say, no one went unserved.
Yep, and we have like sorority, Alpha, Delta, Gamma, and different sororities come in and do the gift wrapping for all the foster kids. So there's like 400 gifts. They'll wrap it in one day. And then we do it at Child Welfare Service. So it's, you know, we were just talking about this. People want to make a difference. And a lot of people don't know about the opportunity there. You know, we were talking about vacationers, which you can talk about when you come on, right? But we were talking about this before the show started. People really do want to make a difference. They just don't know that there's that opportunity to do it. And when you watch people, you know, wrap gifts and see that they're making a difference in 400 children's lives by giving up 2 or 3 hours out of their day, I mean, it's rewarding.
Right.
You know.
Well, and it's such a unique way of serving. I mean, it's something that you can do. If that's something you enjoy doing, it's right up your alley.
Correct. And a lot of people like gift wrapping. I don't mind it, but some people hate it. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not good at it, so
Oh,
you
I'm
don't
good
want
at
me
it.
to.
So, but yeah, it's again, everyone wants to go out and try to make a difference in the community. And again, purpose is to expose them to the opportunities. And again, our board of directors, you know, they'll come in and do data entry. They'll do mailings. A lot of things that are time consuming for me, where I can be more focused on having more of a direct impact on the child or children that day. So.
Right. And doing that part which most people would shy away from.
Yes. Everyone asks me, I just finished my 5th year. Completed my 5th year.
How do you
I don't
keep
think I'm
doing,
finished yet.
How do you keep doing
this?
this?
Question over and over. When we have volunteers, they come in and they read what someone did to a child. They go, how do you do this every day? And it's sad, you know, but some days you cry. I mean, it's horrible what happened, but someone has to be there to start that healing process.
Right.
That's the important thing. And it's not an easy thing to do. You know, it's sort of like, okay, I'm very upset of what happened, but now how can we heal this child? How can we make them whole again?
Right.
You know, so that's the rewarding part. I love my job. My neighbor who's going to be on next sees me leaving at 6 a.m. every morning. Sometimes I'm leaving at 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. And it's like, and it's not like I'm leaving with this grudgingly and I'm smiling and waving, you know. I love that I'm able to make a difference in these kids' lives.
Right.
You know.
Well, and the system that they're being introduced to cannot do that for them.
No, you know, when you're dealing with state and county, there's a lot of red tape and things like that. And again, that's why we were established. We come in and we fill in the gaps. A simple thing like they're not able to provide the kids with juice or any cold drinks or snacks when they come to the judiciary. Right?
Right.
So we buy the snacks, we buy the the juice boxes or whatever it may be for these kids. So, and if you've never been there, it's an amazing place. It's filled with stuffed animals. It's, you know, so calming to go in there for these kids after they've been traumatized.
Your office is right there with them.
Yes.
Right. So it's very convenient. It's not like you have to drive across town.
No, I have a little 8x8 office with no windows off to the side because, thank you, Children's Justice Center. We don't pay rent. So we cut costs at every corner we can, you know, hence why we only have one employee and a working board. But, yeah, we're hands-on. So not only are we reading the requests, we're seeing the actual victims come forward, you know, which can be sad when you see a 3-year-old girl come in that's been sexually assaulted. And just the look of confusion in their face, you know, they just don't understand. They know something traumatic happened. They just, at that age, can't comprehend,
Right.
you know, what it was or why did it happen.
They know it wasn't right.
Right.
And that's about it.
Right.
Or that it hurt.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh boy, just listening to you talk.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of person to be able to do that day after day after day.
Yeah. And it's rewarding. It really is. As sad as it is, it's when you watch the progress of the children, or you go to the Keiki Fest and a child walks up that's now an adult with children and said, you know, you helped me when I was a child. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you say, okay, so this person has a full life. You know,
Right.
they've been able to mend. So.
That moment in time when you helped
Yep.
could have made all the difference in the world for
Well,
them.
it shows someone cares when someone showed them they don't, and that's the difference.
Right.
You know, when you're mistreated, You don't know why. And 9 times out of 10, it's always turned around that it was your fault somehow. I mean, the manipulation of perpetrators, or if it's domestic violence and they're being, physically assaulted, it never goes back to the perpetrator. It's always why it was their fault that this happened.
Gotcha.
So,
now you've got a new program that you're getting ready to kick off. Oh, it's that time already. Speaking of new programs, we have a commercial. It's not a new commercial. No, okay.
no.
We'll take a break.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our executive directors to find out what's going on in their world. And today we've started the show with Paul Tonneson, who's the executive director of the Friends of the Children's Justice Center. And we've been talking about the abuse, neglect in children's lives that he faces every day at the Children's Justice Center over on Willie Palup, yeah.
Yep.
And now these children are being taken out of a home by who? The state?
Well, generally, the first responders would be Child Welfare Service and the Maui Police Department. Maui Police Department has an amazing sexual assault team for juveniles. Talk about compassion. These guys are gentle giants.
Really?
And Tony, one of the officers, is a giant. He's a gentle giant. That's what made me think of it.
Gotcha.
It's true. They're just so compassionate. They're so good with these kids. They understanding that they're approaching someone that's been damaged. That the kindness and compassion that they approach these kids with is phenomenal. And the same as Child Welfare Service. They have a great team of investigators. We work directly with them all the time. We are probably one of their biggest supporters for financial assistance with the kids, doing sports, diapers, bunk beds, because when they get put into foster care, they can't go into a home without a bed. So those are other things, out of the realm that we do.
Right. Now, so they're being taken out of a home. Is this the first stop for them?
First stop is the interview, and then when they have a disclosure or they deem that the child is not going to be safe where the child is. Now, sometimes it could be in-law, it could be a neighborhood friend. It could not be the parents.
Okay.
So the child will stay where they are. If they feel it's unsafe to put the child there or they need more time, then that's when they go into foster care.
Okay.
And we're fortunate. We have no state facility. They don't go into a state facility. Maui County is very fortunate. We find it goes back to the compassion of our community.
Right.
They all find homes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
No one goes without.
Right. Because if you think on the mainland, they have little state facilities where it's dorms and bunk beds or whatever that they're going to be housed until they can find a place for them. We're fortunate we don't have to go through that.
That for a little kid, that could be forever.
Correct.
In their minds.
And they don't understand why they're being removed.
Right. Nobody they know, nobody.
Well, some of them are so young they don't comprehend.
Yeah.
They still love their mother or father.
Right.
And again, it goes back to the program we were talking, you just mentioned. We started a program. We're always trying to expand our services or prevention efforts. So about 5 years ago, I did it as a volunteer 1 hour a week teaching anger management to problematic children. And I found out that out of 32 children, 29 of them had been victims of assault and had been through the system. And now they're being punished because they're acting out, because they're angry.
Right.
They're confused, things like that. So I actually sit on a panel with the prosecutors, child welfare, judges. Judge Tanaka just retired, but Judge Pullman will be taking over, about approaching these children different. Instead of in a punitive way, how can we approach them in a holistic way? And it's working out. So we started breaking the cycle is what we started. Teach these kids that they can build their own exit ramp. But a way to get parents to participate in breaking the cycle, we had to sort of be a little more diplomatic. So we call it an empowerment camp. And we took 8 high-risk teens. We just did a test on Molokai. And that were victims of abuse.
The parents were victims.
No, the children.
The children, okay.
Okay, so the 8 high-risk teens, they ranged from 12 to 16, half female, half male. And we went and we actually got, through a friend of mine, this beautiful house with a built-in pool on Molokai. And we did a 2-day workshop. We taught them compassion, discipline, courage, and wisdom, all with a cultural aspect. But prior to that, we went and we got mentors in the community who would agree to mentor them afterwards. So for the last 6 months, they've been meeting every month with their mentors. They've been doing activities after this. And feedback from this test program was from the children, I was finally able to release my pain. I felt trusted. I felt wanted. So the program's called Journey to New Beginnings. And what it is, it's focusing on the absence of parenting. And it could be that there's mental illness, drug abuse, violence, just never taught to be a parent. So it's about empowering the kids and letting them know that they do have a voice, because so many of these kids don't know that, and that they have options. And we had a great success story with one kid 3 years ago. I did this while I was volunteering with that group of 32 children. One kid came up and disclosed all these horrible things that were happening to me. He asked to talk to me after the class, and I said, okay. So we got and he's in the court system. He's been abused since he was an infant. He's now a teen. He turned around. He was straight Fs, thrown out of DOE. He was 15 years old, sleeping on the beach, no one even knew it, and angry. So all they knew is to address his anger, and take action against it. Winds up, get him removed, get him into a great foster care program, foster home. Graduates this program with 3.6 grade point average, gets accepted to St. Anthony's, plays on the baseball team, plays on the soccer team, prince of his class, and he does his class school project on child abuse and neglect.
Oh, no.
Okay? That's all teaching, empowering him that he does have a voice and that what is happening is not okay. Because that's normal to them. People don't realize it. It's just normal. This is what happens every day. They don't see anything else.
They believe other kids are going through the same thing.
Or it's shame, too. They don't want to tell people what's happening.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it, right. Or they're threatened not to talk about it. There's a bunch of different circumstances. So,
wow.
So that's our new program. That's why we have our big benefit coming up. And I'm just going to give my number, 808, naturally, 986-8634. That is the phone number for the friends. And email is paul@Maui, and then the letter C is in Charlie, J is in John, C is in Charlie.org. So paul@MauiCJC.org. And like I say, we got about 22 tickets left. It's a fun event. We got Chris Christopherson this year. We had Amy Gilliam last year. Again, these people are donating their time and talent to make a difference in the lives of the kids we serve, and we are so appreciative of that.
This is a what Friday evening?
It's a Friday evening dinner at King Kamehameha Club. Starts 5:30 to 9 with a live and silent auction. And naturally, having Chris Christopherson, we have entertainment. And we have about 200 auction items. We have an abundance of auction items.
You know, I think that's one of the things that it's most astounds me is that everyone who's in here talking about their big fundraisers have just unbelievable silent and live auction items donated by the people in this community. I mean, it's just incredible. And in many cases, you've got your typical golf outings and your dinners and those kinds of things, but there's always some unique something.
You know, it's funny. We live in a very compassionate state. That's what I moved here for. To me, it's a very spiritual place for me. People want to make a difference in the life of someone in need or something in need, you know, because it can be Maui Humane Society, it can be the Ocean Center, it can be, you know, the environment, whatever it may be. There's a lot of passion sitting here in these islands, and people are showing it.
Right. It's incredible. It really is. And what you're doing over at the Friends of the Children's Justice Center is incredible. And I think the thing, too, that we keep seeing through this is that it's one child at a time. It may be 3 in a family or whatever, but it basically is one child at a time.
Correct.
Learning how the rest of the people are living.
Correct.
And that they can, too.
Right. That it is available to them.
Right.
And again, it's normal to them. When they live in an environment, nothing's changed, nothing's different. They don't know the difference. They've never seen the other side. I raised 2 foster boys, and my husband always says to me, how many kids were in that housing project? And I said, about 600 probably. It was huge. Oof. And he said, where are the other 598 kids? Right? Because housing projects, and I'm not trying to put it on, but it's
right.
The demographics, you know, they're going to start doing what Dad did. They're going to break into cars. They're going to be drinking and drugging early, you know. And I'm proud to have 2 young, amazing young men right now. They're in their early 20s. That are making a difference in the community also, because they were shown through me and Richard that you do go out and you make a difference in someone else's life. So they're able to actually give back. One of my sons actually worked for Child Family Service as a facilitator to oversee visitation from the parents while they were in foster care. And it brought him back to when he was a little kid, when I used to have to do that with him. And he's like, oh, my God, I remember going through this.
Interesting.
You know, but now he's on the other side doing it for another child. So
cool. Last thoughts. Time's up.
That's it.
That's it.
No, I don't want to take too much time, because I know Tony has very important stuff going on too. We all do. I just want to thank everyone for the continuous support. And again, 986-8634. We are on Facebook, Friends of the Children's Justice Center. And my email is paul@mauicjc.org.
Great.
Thank you, Susie.
Big fundraiser on September 29th.
Yes, and that's why I'm running right back. I appreciate you guys letting me take the first half. I have some of my board members just sitting at my office waiting for me. So
20 tickets left. Hurry up. Call him. Right. Call him and email him.
Thanks.
We'll see you later.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
And our second guest today is someone brand new to the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. We have Tapani Vaori, who is the general manager of the Maui Ocean Center. We're going to throw on there the Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute.
Yeah, actually a director of Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute and the president. So these are 2 separate organizations.
Okay.
To be really clear about
There
that.
we go. Okay. So the Maui Ocean Center, which has been here, how long has it been around?
Maui Ocean Center was incorporated in the state of Hawaii in 1998. So almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Up.
Okay. And, of course, we know that as the place to go to see the beautiful fish through the big window down underground.
That is correct. A lot of other things.
And a lot of that's true. A lot of other,
yeah.
a lot of classes, a lot of learning experiences. Now, last year, or actually it started a few years ago, I believe, everybody got kind of together and said, there's more we could be doing.
Absolutely. I've been with Maui Ocean Center since 2002, and I had an opportunity to become a general manager there actually a year and a half ago in 2015 at the end of the year. And One of the mandate that I had personally, because back in 2002 when I started, we had actually gotten together with Hannah Bernard, who is currently who is the director of Hawaii Wildlife Fund, and John Gorman, who is our curatorial director, that we felt that there was a need for a nonprofit, and however we were unable to perhaps present it the right way to our owners, and maybe the timing was off. So I indicated that this is a really important issue for me. So we were actually able to start Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute. Actually, last year we incorporated.
So it's off and running.
That is correct.
You had your first fundraiser last year?
Yes, we did, actually. Well, earlier this year, April, we had a gala event. Like Paul was saying earlier, it's run with volunteers. Currently, we have only volunteer board members. Like I said earlier, I am the president. We have Alexander Arndt, who is our treasurer, and then we have John Corman, of course, who is the director at the Ocean Center. He is also a board member. And then we have one outside board member, Mr. Tommy Cott, who is also one of the directors at the Loggerhead Marine Life Sanctuary in Juno Beach, Florida. So he's actually well respected globally, especially on turtle issues. So I can talk about a little bit more about that a little bit later.
Okay, great. So one of the things you had a nice article in the paper last Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Actually, was it? Yeah, it was just this past Sunday. No, a week ago.
That is correct.
Right.
Fairly recent.
Right. Yeah. And talking about this this new project, and Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute that works on developing rehabilitation facilities for endangered turtles, expanding an existing coral bank at the aquarium, and providing marine sciences educational opportunities. That's a big load.
Yeah, we're actually a little bit overwhelmed right now. We are in the process. We are hoping to actually hire a program manager for our nonprofit, or actually, for the nonprofit period. And I can't stress enough that those are two separate organizations, Maui Ocean Center and then the Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute. The Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute is based basically on three foundational pillars. Number one is a turtle rescue facility. We are actually building a facility behind the scenes at the Maui Ocean Center. So if you ever happen to visit Maui Ocean Center, we also doing behind the scenes tours, or if you want to see it, perhaps give me a call at the aquarium and I'd be happy to explain you and perhaps show you what we are doing in terms of turtle rescue operations. We are also the turtle stranding responder on the South Maui, and we're working together with UH Maui College on that. And the turtle dynamic, or the turtle operations, are actually operating or in collaboration with NOAA. So we actually currently operate under their permit. So this is the governmental NGO partnerships are becoming more and more vital as the government is looking to streamline some of their financing for different organizations within the government structure. The second pillar, like I mentioned, is the coral repository, and this is in essence, if you think about Ark of Rare Endemic Hawaiian Corals. Why is this important? To me, this is really the existential issue here in Hawaii. Back in 2015, I believe it was in August, September, we saw the ocean water temperature rise to 85 degrees of Fahrenheit, and about 45% of the corals bleached. I'm sure a lot of people on Maui saw that. There are a lot of people who go to water and enjoy the marine environment. Unfortunately, what happened is majority of the coral did not bounce back. There were, a majority of it bounced back, but there were some coral species like cauliflower coral that never did bounce back, and you can still see that in the ocean as of today. And that really opened our eyes that we really need to get ahead of this. And we actually flew in an seawater chiller from the mainland. That was late August, and we were able to save all the coral under our care. And let me stress that the marine life that we have, that Maui Ocean Center displays, it's under our care. We do not own it. we take this responsibility very seriously, and therefore this became an imperative for us to really start making sure that the coral remains healthy and vibrant, in our care. And then the third pillar, and I'm sorry, let me go back to that. That is done in collaboration with DLNR. So they are developing a fail-safe network across Hawaii. So they're hoping to take this model and duplicate that on the other neighbor islands, Hawaii and Kauai as well. And if you go to Honolulu and Stan Island, they have a facility that is very similar to ours. We are already exchanging expertise. We have people flying back and forth between our facility and Stan Island, and we are also exchanging or spreading out the rare endemic corals, because this coral really needs to stay alive, and this is the genetic pool we want to ensure that stays alive. Then the third pillar is really the educational outreach. I have always felt that the for-profit model, which is Maui Ocean Center, is not really inducive to educational model, because how can you really monetize it? There's really no way to monetize it. I used to be a teacher a long time ago, so I'm very passionate about this and about educating our future generation. So to me, the nonprofit was the only vehicle that really allows us to reach the target audience, which is the children, and really showcase the wonders of science and STEM-based education, and hopefully foster the care and understanding and wonderment about what's underneath the ocean surface. And one more thing that is going to be really important for the nonprofit is our volunteer network. So we are going to start looking for volunteers. Our goal is to have over 300 volunteers, and it will be professionally managed and very robust volunteer organization. If you're interested in volunteering, email us at info@mocmarineinstitute.org.
Wow, that's quite a list. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and we'll discuss it in more detail.
Thank you, Susan.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we're back. Hello.
Hello, Ken.
Thank you, Gary. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executives. In this case, we're talking with the president of the nonprofit Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute. And it's the Marine Institute that we're conversing on here, because that is the nonprofit segment. Yes. We're all familiar with the Maui Ocean Center, and this is just such a great, it's not a spin-off, it's an addition to.
It is correct. It is a separate entity entirely. So I was very clear when we started this that we had to create a total demarcation or a division between Maui Ocean Center, which is for-profit, and the nonprofit Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute. And the degree of transparency is really, really important to me personally. So we need to make sure that our books are open to public, whoever wants to see them.
Right.
This is a requirement.
So would most people refer to you as the Marine Institute at the Maui Ocean Center?
That is correct. Everybody
That's
is
maybe
aware
the best
of it.
way to distinguish it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before the break, you were talking about the three prongs of the agency, and I'm fascinated by the coral piece. I'm a transplant from the Midwest, and we don't have much coral in the Midwest.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Coral is actually a global phenomenon. As you can probably tell from my heavy accent, I'm originally from Finland, and actually in Baltic Sea they even have coral. So you just have to go deep enough. We are really blessed here in Hawaii that we have this abundance of healthy and vibrant coral that we
Right.
hope that will stay that way.
Well, I can't begin to tell you how shocked I was when somebody first started referring to coral as a live plant, as a live being, and not to choke it off, not to kill it, not to break it off, do this and that. Give us a little insight into that and how we're doing it. Sometimes on accidentally, sometimes on purpose, but we don't want to do that, and why?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a newcomer here. Well, I've been in Hawaii over 20 years now, actually longer than I ever lived in Finland. So this is my home. And but again, I don't want to start telling people what to do. But I really truly care for our community here and our environment. And it's so easy to forget that we have such a special place here in Hawaii. And I believe we should do whatever we can, all of us, to safeguard that environment. And I certainly have to lead by my example. This is my kuleana and my responsibility, and I take it really seriously. So going back to your question about the coral, to me, it was really an eye-opening experience when I studied at the aquarium. And, I wasn't really actually that well-versed with marine life and biology either when I started, but most people who visit, even as of today, they think coral is a rock. And there's the fundamental problem that we have. How do we change that perception in public? Because this is actually a living, vibrant animal. And it's amazing once you see it in the microscope. And for example, at the aquarium, what we do on the weekends, for the kamainas here in Maui or anybody here in Hawaii, if you want to see live coral, we actually showcase it under microscope, and we have a large screen, and we actually feed the coral. So, for example, we have Dubastrea, which is a soft skeleton coral, and you can see it how it's feeding, and it's just, to me, it was a really eye-opening experience, and really brought home the point that this is an animal, and we need to do everything in our power to safeguard it. And I may ask, why us, and to me, it's really our moral obligation as we are the experts of the marine environment, of the marine life, and it is our moral obligation. This is how I feel about it personally.
If it were to, not all of it, but if a majority of the coral were to die, what would that cause in our ocean, just in looks or feel, or what does coral do for us that we would miss?
Very important part. Actually, if you go back to the Hawaiian culture, and I'm sure many of the listeners have read Kumulipo, but when it talks about the po'o and everything started from the primordial darkness, and coral polyp is the first, marine life or animal or organism that actually appears. And from the coral, we emerge eventually. So coral is us. We are the family. We are the same family. And I can't stress that enough. And what will actually physically happen at the coral reefs, if you imagine if they die off, a lot of the marine life that currently lives on coral reefs, that will actually go away. And you can imagine what the macroeconomic impact of that would be, combined with potential loss of a lot of the surfing spots as well. And also, I just read last night, actually, I came back from a environmental symposium in Honolulu, where the state of Hawaii and scientists actually put it together, and they're trying to get ahead of these major threats that are threatening the environment, especially here in Hawaii and Pacific Basin. So I was reading about that, and 23% of the marine life at some point has gone through the coral reef ecosystem. So what will happen to that marine life when that goes away? So this is why we supported from the beginning the expansion of Papahanaumokuakea. That's why it's so important, because it is a natural resource. And I believe we have proven it time and time again that we, the humans, we have a tendency to commodify natural resources. And, I don't want to overregulate, or I'm not the one who's making that decision anyway, but personally, I think there needs to be more regulation in terms of our natural resources, and I'm glad to see that Papahanaumokuakea is actually safeguarded right now. And there's actually a scientific study to back it up that these natural rechargers are required to maintain a healthy ecosystem, and it actually spills over to the fishing grounds. So the fishing yields are actually higher around them as well.
Really?
Yeah, that is correct. The marine protected areas, those are the key.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, just when you look at our popular beach areas, coral can be found at almost any level of the ocean.
That is correct.
Right? So we're talking about for where the most fish are affected would be further out a little bit.
Actually, the issue is near shore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of talk about the sunscreens. We actually even had an article on Maui News on Sunday, and I appreciate them providing a platform for that. There's a lot of talk about the oxybenzone, but it is a scientific consensus right now that that is not actually the biggest threat. It became evident yesterday, also in the meeting in Honolulu, that the sedimentation is a big problem. If you can imagine topsoil erosion, groundwater nutrients going into the harbors and waters, near shore waters. So sedimentation is really an issue. I can see it everywhere. When I started working at the Maui Ocean Center, I remember, and I actually commented this to John, our curator, the other week. I remember most of the time the waters at the harbor, they were actually clear. And nowadays, even today, if you go there, they're murky, and there's a high level of turbidity, and there's a lot of sedimentation actually at the bottom of the harbor. And most of the listeners on Maui probably remember when shopping center was developed, there was actually some overflow, and unfortunately the issue was not actually done correctly when the shopping center was built. So there was some harm done, and I really want to make sure that we are doing the right things for the environment, and we need to lead by example.
Interesting. Now, we hear a lot about the king's tides that we've had here the last few weeks. Does that also? I mean, when they go back out, they're taking the dirt from on island off, and anything that's affected that soil would go back out.
I haven't seen any studies about it pulling out the sedimentation. It may or may not, but we know this for sure that it's pulling the the sand from the shoreline. We can see this in Lahaina. There's one building, actually, high-rise building, that is actually under a pilot program right now with the state of Hawaii. They're looking at the mediation issues there. This is also very evident in Waikiki. I'm sure everybody has seen those news stories of late. That term actually originated from Australia, which is interesting, but there are other issues. The scientists, they're looking at they were talking yesterday about 3.2 feet rise in ocean waters, and that has a dire impacts into our coastal ecosystems and economic well-being. And you can imagine what will happen to the highway between Alaya and Lahaina.
Right.
I don't want to be the doomsayer here, but we need to be prepared.
3 feet.
Yeah, they were looking at that 2050, I believe. Or
2050.
They started extrapolating the rate of increases right now.
32, 33 years. That's not very long.
No, not at all.
Wow. So we need to take action now because we're fighting not only human environmental things as well as natural environment things. Tapani, this has been fascinating. I can't believe our time is up already.
Oh, amazing! Time flies.
You're such a wealth of knowledge here on the subject, and I wish you and the Marine Institute great success as you go searching for your volunteers. I would think that anyone who's into water activities or the ocean in general would want to jump on board and learn more and do what they can to help keep it, not just keep it, but bring it back to what it was.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that. This coming, September 16th on Saturday, International Coastal Cleanup will be happening at Kealia Beach from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. MOCMI will be hosting it. If you want to sign up for that, please email info@mocmarineinstitute.org. And just, thank you very much for this opportunity and invitation, and deeply appreciative for Kauai radio station and the sponsor and Maui Nonprofit Association, what great work they're doing. And previous guest, Paul, really touched his heart deeply.
Right. Well, it's, the great thing about the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association is that while we're all executive directors or staff or board people, each of our missions is so different. Mm-hmm. And yet it's that collaborative effort, as Paul mentioned earlier, that there's something we can all jump on board to help each other out. Yeah. And I'm sure as we get to know you folks and when you get your program manager, if they become the representative, it's going to be exciting to find out even more about what's going on over there.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Tapani. Yeah. Appreciate it. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Base Yard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's purpose is to provide an opportunity for nonprofit agency directors to gain personal and professional support through cooperative development activities. Mnpd, Maui Nonprofit Directors, also provides an opportunity for networking to effect significant positive change in our community. Please visit our website, MauiNonprofit.org, for a list of member agencies, and if you find one there that you want to learn more about, please go to their website or give them a call and see how you can help them out. And as we heard from Tapani, volunteers, we're looking for them. Today we visited with the Friends of the Children's Justice Center and the Marine Institute at the Maui Ocean Center. If you heard anything today that makes you want to get involved in one of these groups, give them a call. Mahalo for tuning in. Don't forget to join us again next week, right here, same time, same place. KAOI Radio, 1110 a.m. On the FM dial, 96.7, 96.5 on the west side, 98.7 upcountry, when we'll be featuring representatives of two other member agencies of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, your host and the executive director of Lokahi Pacific. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.